In this video we're going to cover the roster calendar. So the roster calendar is what drives a lot of the information that ends up in the daily times. So in the daily times earlier, when we looked at maintaining that, we noticed that each employee on every day had a daily rule set up for them, which is, you'll see here. So I'm set up in sales, these are the rules. So these rules determine the expected start, finish times, hours worked, meal breaks, etc. Overtime if there was such a thing. So this is what determines how the day gets calculated for the employee based on what happens. So for example, I can show you here, this roster is from 8:30 till 5. If I change that to a different rule, so I might have a different rule which is a 7:30 till 9 till 2. So if I save that, the day that may cause the day to recalculate, it may cause the rules to be different, so depending on what, so this is what drives how we work out start and finish times, when the employee is expected, etc. So the way you manage that is the employee has a default work pattern, and that work pattern drives our calendar. So this is the roster calendar. So when I come in here, by default I get given the search panel. So if I just hit apply, then I will get a view where I have all of my employees and what their current daily rule is for their roster. I can go forward to the next week, so I can look forward. So this is telling me what my roster expectation is. So based on the roster, I've got 53 hours rostered on Wednesday, and this person's got 40 hours, 32 hours. So this is the hours that the employee has rostered for the week. These are the hours that the company or department have rostered for the week. Now this shows me all employees in surname order. If I want to change that, I can simply click on the filter. I can say I want to sort it by first name or employee code, and I apply that, and now I'll get it in a different sort order. So it depends on how you like to see the information. I can also determine from in here if I'm only looking for one employee or a couple of employees. I can choose my employees and hit apply, and now I'll only see those particular employees' rosters as the case may be. If I want all again, I just simply hit clear with the X and I save that, or I apply it. So in this screen you have your employees down one side, you have the daily rule that is applying to a particular day, and then over here you have your daily rules. So if I wanted to change Bob from being in sales part-time for those days and being off on a Saturday and a Sunday, and I wanted to bring him in, let's say I wanted him to work on a Saturday, I simply click on my daily rule, and then I just click on the day that I want Bob to work, and it changes his RDO from an RDO to a 7:30 till 5. You'll notice that it says that the RDO, the rule was originally an RDO, so I can come back if I needed to. I did that for the wrong person, I can simply click on RDO and put that back to RDO. But as soon as I change that, it drives TimeHub's expectation of what the employee is going to do, which is then drives whether the employee comes up with a flag to say that they've done something different to what was expected. So I can do that with anything. So for example, if I wanted to roster an employee on leave, I can simply go to the week by using the date picker up here, and let's say that Dana was going to take some annual leave, so I could say, right, so Dana, I'm going to pick holiday pay, and you said that you needed to be on holiday for Thursday and Friday, and because you didn't have enough holiday pay, the rest of it's you're going to use some alternative leave that you've accrued, so you're going to take that as an alternative day. So I'm rostering this. This is only for that week. If I go back to the previous week, the normal roster pattern is applying, and if I go to the week after, the same thing applies. So this is date specific rostering. So once we've got these determined, then I can go and control what the employee is doing on a given week. So if the employee, for example, again we've got an RDO here with Ingrid, and Ingrid's going to pick up a couple of extra shifts as a cleaner, so I simply click on the cleaner rule and say, right, Ingrid, you're going to be a cleaner for those 3 days because you need the extra hours, and you're going to have your RDO instead on those 2 days because that's what you've asked for. So I can control what happens for the employee, and then, as I say, this is what determines whether the employee will come up with a flag. So if in this situation Ingrid didn't come to work on those 2 days, she's not going to show up as being missing because the system now knows that she's going to be missing, and she's not going to show up as having worked when she wasn't expected to on the Saturday and Sunday because we've told the system what to expect. The same thing applies with the leave. So once you roster the leave, the employee doesn't come up as missing, because the system knows why they're not here. If they happen to turn up to work on a day where they have got leave rostered, then it'll come up with a warning saying you've got someone who is working and on holiday and they can't have both, so you need to make a decision. But you can build this roster for as far into the future as you want. You can change the defaults. It rolls forward. If you want to, you can print it. So if you just click on the print option, and then you can actually print out a one-page colour roster. When this catches up with me in a second. This is slow because I'm doing the screen record. And there we go. So now I've got my roster. If I make that into landscape mode, it's a little bit easier to read. And again, takes a second because I'm recording the screen. Yours will be a lot faster than this. Yep, we'll wait. So there's the roster calendar, so the employees, and if you had a colour printer you can put it into colour. So that's how you produce your roster, and for the employees to have it published if they want to see it. There is also a labels function. So for example, if you needed to label the fact that someone was going to be, I'm not sure, head pharmacist or something like that, you could set up a label. Let's call it just head of department for now, which makes life easier, and I'll make that HOD, and I'll save that. So now I can come in here and say, okay, on this particular day you're going to be head of department, on this day you're going to be head of department, and then you're going to be head of department, and then you're going to be head of department, and then you're going to be head of department, whatever that may be. That's not affecting the roster, it's just labeling the day so that when we print out the roster, the people will see what those labels represent. So as you can see, we use it for all sorts of things for clients in other industries. So once the roster is there, then you've got that driving everything else that happens within TimeHub. Bearing in mind that you can search, filter. Now the other thing you can do is if you wanted to highlight a particular thing that was happening, so you wanted to see what your coverage would be a good example of that. So if I go and put in, now within these fields you can start typing and it will find the nearest match. So if I go and say, alright, I'm interested in seeing anyone who's rostered on holiday. Now if I bring that up, so now it highlights the holiday day. So if I was interested in looking at people who are rostered on holiday and also alternative leave, for example, and I apply that, it will now highlight the days where I've got an expected absenteeism. So then that shows me that if I don't have enough cover. Again, if I go forward and back with the calendar, it will also highlight the days where those things apply, so it retains that filter. Now I may not have any in the day before. There we go, I've got a holiday pay, that one. So it's a useful way, it's a visual way of actually seeing this information. Now your daily rules are all color coded, and we can help you set up different colors if you prefer, but basically it's a way of just identifying things that are happening. So it's this information here which drives this information here. So this is what tells the system what to expect, and then once the reality comes through, this gets transferred into the daily times, and then the rules get applied based on the roster.